You're listening to the Banríon Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to the Banríon Show on Irish News Radio or ITV.ie. And you can contact anything that you've heard or if anything you'd like to discuss at news@irishnews.net.
Hello.
Hello, this is Banríon on the Banríon Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today we will be talking to Tony Ward, who is a councillor in Roscommon. Is that correct, or where are you? Tell me all about yourself.
Councillor here in South Roscommon. Tony Ward is my name. I'm an independent county councillor, first elected back in 2004.
That's right, 20 years, Derek was telling me. It's fantastic, and due to be voted in again. So you have the voice of the people, obviously.
Well, I have been a community person all my life, and I've worked closely with the people. I deal with the issues on the ground on behalf of the people. I'm a full-time county councillor. When I was elected back in 2004, I took early retirement from my job. I was a technician with Aircom, now Air, so that's my background, is community background.
Okay, and what did you think of the eviction in Roscommon that went worldwide, that actually Leo is going to try and ban and call it hate speech? So he's going to put a stop to anybody reporting on such stuff. He's calling it hate speech on social.
Well, if you look at the manner of the eviction, that's the manner in which it was done. It was inappropriate. It was completely out of order, and you don't do that with the people in County Roscommon.
You shouldn't do that to any Irish person. Absolutely.
Or any Irish person. The big issue that I would have myself is that back in 2008, I put a motion before Roscommon County Council to the then government minister for finance and the government to write down the mortgages for the people that had mortgages. They had overinflated mortgages, and if you look at that time where the banks just threw out the money to people, kept throwing it out, and maybe 300,000 for a 3 or 4 bedroom house. The huge borrowings going on that, and then inside, when the country went bust, then inside of a very short period of time, that house was only worth 100,000. And at that particular time, they should have written down all the mortgages. That's what I was looking for. That people start afresh. Don't forget the banks. The banks was bailed out by the Irish people, and they had an opportunity to start afresh. And if you look at the amount of people that's homeless right across the country, but especially in your own city of Dublin, a lot of those people have been evicted and put out on the street. If you look at the Roscommon situation, there's going to be plenty of situations like the Roscommon situation. And my understanding is that the banks and the people that operate the banks and run the banks, and don't forget the government is shareholder, the people of this country are shareholders, but the banks are running all over the government. The banks, I'm led to believe that if you have a bad debt, the banks won't speak to you and don't want to talk to you because they have an opportunity which, if you look at the Strokestown case there, where their loan was sold to a vulture fund.
Shocking.
And passed on.
But in mind, you have very, very wealthy people owing millions and millions, and they still have their big houses in Greystones and still go on the holidays to Spain, and nothing, no banks are coming after them. They're not being evicted.
Well, they're not, and I wouldn't, to be honest, I would. They are probably people like that. But the people that I worry about is the people that live in my rural area of County Roscommon, where I know that people that's under huge pressure and stress in relation to their borrowings, and the banks, you know, the issue with the banks, the information that I'm getting allegedly, is that the banks won't speak to those people, you know.
Absolutely disgraceful. Look, this is what happened in the Black and Tans, and they were in the Land League, and they were forcefully forced out. If the Irish, and that property, I believe, it's been in his family for a few generations.
Oh yeah, and they're decent, ordinary, decent people. And as I said, the way they were treated was absolutely deplorable.
Disgusting. I mean, that's why Leo wants to crack down on social media, because the world, not just Roscommon, not just Ireland, but the world was shocked. Even so much, I've had an interview with a unionist. I was talking to a unionist who said he was disgusted, and that does not represent the unionist population, and they were disgusted. In fact, they said what they would do would be they'd be interested in coming down if there's another election and standing outside and protecting
people. Yeah, strange. I would be surprised if that did represent them. And to be fair, I wouldn't random that there were 6 or 7 or 8 individuals or 9 individuals, and there were individuals who was a part of the company there, and I'm sure they certainly didn't represent the unionist people in Northern Ireland.
No,
but
and
nevertheless,
he said that. And what he said was it's actually the government and the banks, and they're using to create a situation, where there could be trouble again, and it's deliberately, instead of taking the blame, it was the banks and the government who planned to do this. Nothing to do with the unionists, and I totally understand where he's coming from. And he was absolutely disgusted that their name should be used in this way. And he said if there was another one that'd come down from Northern Ireland and campaign outside those people's houses being evicted. And he said in the past, in Portadown, there's been times where Catholics and Protestants have come together to stop this sort of treatment of the Irish people. Absolutely disgraceful. Everybody's upset about it.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all living on the island of Ireland, and all we're looking for is due process, looking for fair play, and to think that in 2018 that those people could be removed from their family home in the manner that they were removed.
And before Christmas, of a timeline, there should be a law against you can't kick people out of their home, particularly at that time of year. It's absolutely, I think everybody who's seen that YouTube is upset and shocked at a government that could do that. It's absolutely, there's no excuse, particularly in the manner they were doing it, but there's no excuse anyway to be treated like that.
You see, the big problem there is the banks were looked after by the state and by the people of the state, and they have taken complete control, the banks have. That's my opinion, and there's no. What I hear from people is that the banks will not sit down with those people and discuss and draw up plans. No, what they're doing is they're selling off their loans to vulture funds. And I mean, if you look at the company that the McGann borrowed, it wasn't from the KBC banks.
It's a disgrace. The other thing about the government is bringing in, I don't know whether you've heard of, there's 200 and something migrants coming into your area. Nobody's been asked. Nobody's been told about it. They will literally, as it has near me in Wicklow, just being planted. And like Lisbon, Banríon, where 95% of the people, I think, have said no, they don't care.
Yeah, to be fair on that now, I would be maybe 35, 40 miles away, and it would be a different jurisdiction, a different county. But I do believe that there was very little, if any, discussion in relation to.
It's very unfair when you 10,000 homeless, 4,000 are children. 4,400 are children in this country, yet they have no problem finding homes for non-Irish, but to find homes for Irish people, Irish families, out on the streets. And there has been, particularly last year, a lot of Irish people dying on the streets, yet they don't seem to have a problem finding non-Irish homes. And they're taking in cultures that they don't understand. Now, there's nothing wrong with the third world, but Syrians' war is over, but they're taking in places from Islamic where women don't have any rights, which is a danger to our women and our children, because women become women, well, they're considered women at 9 years of age, and they can marry up to four wives and have sex slaves. They can marry child brides. There's a new law now in Germany to bring down the age limit to allow this. This is crazy, absolutely insane, and not what our forefathers died for. It's a sad day and a sad state of the country because of the EU. Your thoughts on the immigration problem in Ireland and why the UN Pact was signed without even a discussion, and if we have any negative views on it, we will be criminalised. So if you're picking your daughter out of ditches, murdered, if you speak out about it, you are the one who will be criminalised, not the person who murdered. That is the UN Pact. It is absolutely a disgrace that our government signed it.
Well, if you look at the homeless, there is no programme in place for the last 10 years. And when the building boom was on in this country, there was too many houses built. So all that kind of thing happened. But having that said, there was no programme in place because if you look at the shortage of houses in cities like Galway and Dublin, maybe Limerick, Cork, and other locations around the country, and they feel that came because there was no plan. And when you don't have plans, you see, while the country went from boom to bust, the one thing that was always going to happen is there was children born every hour and every minute and hour of the day. Those kids were going to grow up and go to school, go to secondary school. And there was no, as I said, there was no programme, there was no plans in place, there was no housing built during, for 4 or 5 years. And that's the number of people, a huge number of people homeless. But also, we'll say, in relation to their mortgage and their mortgage repayments, that's left a lot of people that lost their house. They were out on the street.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who became homeless during that time. And also I know a lot of people whose houses and properties in where I live, because it was quite a wealthy sort of areas, Nama came and took huge amount when the builders went crashed. They took properties, they took schools, they took hotels, they took big land, and the government sold it for near to nothing, and they sold it, the Germans sold it on for millions. All this land around this area was sold, were owned by Germany. Nama took absolutely estates in this part of the country.
And if the government took their time and let the whole thing bottom out, and the property was there, and if they had that property today, what would it be worth?
Absolutely. We have no holding crisis. If we, even our fish, 200 billion of our fish taken out of our seas. Our seas are overfished. Everything. Since the EU, it's been a disaster. I can look around and tell you countless of houses, massive, beautiful, big, old Victorian, Edwardian houses around this area, because this area was where the British all lived, so they were big, huge old houses, all taken by the Germans, Nama, and sold for billions. Those could have housed 10 times the housing problem we have. Absolutely a disgrace. And it's insane. They closed down schools, huge schools. They came and took massive school in Rathfarnham, a huge old Loretto Convent college on massive grounds, took it over and sold it for millions to the Germans. So everything gets sold, puts into Nama, and then the Germans sell it.
Oh yeah, everything. Well, I know everything gets sold, but as far as I be concerned, a lot given away. You know, to get it off their books, to get it off their books and sell it for maybe 20% of the value.
Yeah, well, the government did, but they sold it on for millions, and to foreign investments. So none of this is ours. So everything our forefathers died and fought for this land. I was talking to another lady. I said, you look around Dublin, there is cannonballs all around the seas. There's fortresses to save us from the invasion. There was no open border. If we didn't have conservative forefathers, we wouldn't have a country. They had to put boulders all around Dublin. You can go through and you see the fortresses from where they have fought for generations to protect the seas from foreigners coming in. And now they're opening up as if like everything that they had protected all across where I live. You'll see every half a mile. You'll see some sort of fortress inland and out of the sea to protect the Irish from an invasion. What happened to that? Now it's like, oh, welcome in. We don't care who you are. If you chop us up, murder us, you're all welcome. Like, where did this come from when our forefathers had died and fought and streets and rivers of blood to protect and to give us what we have for us to hand it over so the next generation doesn't have a land? They have nowhere to go. The homeless of Ireland have nowhere. They can't just pick up and go to a country and say, we're Irish, can you help us? Our Irish government has sold out the country. They have nowhere. This is their land and they have nothing at the end. It's a disgrace. And any thought on that, on where the future is going, what is going to happen? What is your feeling down in Roscommon? Like, they're going to bring it in anyway, but regardless of what happens, we are.
Well, you see, if you look at rural county Roscommon, we have the oldest people in the country are living in County Roscommon, and we have the young people of the county who are absolutely brilliant. And those young people, they get educated and they have to leave the county because there's no employment in County Roscommon. So you have 75% or 80% of the graduates that go to college, get degrees. They have to go to Dublin, or they have to go to London, they have to go to Boston or New York. Like, we have always been faced with this issue over the years, so it's nothing new to the people of County Roscommon to have to leave their own county for employment, and that's just the way it has been down through the years. That we have, I'm sure, more County Roscommon people in London or New York or Boston than any other county in the country.
Yeah.
So that's where I am.
I understand that, but when the Irish left, the big difference with the Irish, when they left, they had to work for every penny that they got.
Oh, yeah.
They got no free houses, they got no free food, no free buggies, no free anything, and they certainly didn't get the trip paid for. They got nothing, and they worked till everything. They built America and they built England. For Leo then to turn around and say he prefer non-Irish than Irish because they pay more taxes and more likely to be working, an absolutely racist, disgusting mark towards the Irish people. But yet, he's supposed to be the leader of the country. Someone who can't stand the Irish people, thinks they're lazy and can't work. It's a disgrace to have him in government.
Well, sure, the people decided,
Well, they didn't. He wasn't voted in by the people.
Well, he wasn't voted in, but his party was put in there, but he was agreed that he would be the leader above in Dáil Éireann. The majority of TDs voted for him.
Well, I don't even think the majority of TDs did vote for him. He went in under some sort of odd rule. He lost the majority.
Well, the people will have an opportunity at the next general election,
The fake coalition will keep each other in government. Both parties are backing each other up on the destruction of this country, so I don't think there will be a government on that fake coalition. Are quite happy to keep themselves in power for the moment while they're lapping it up too much. But anyway, it's been lovely to hear from you, Tony Ward. So your thoughts on Derek and he's going for his constituency. Any thoughts on that?
Well, he's young, vibrant person, and Derek has plenty of, he has plenty of ability. He's a very community-orientated, and there's no doubt about it here in South Roscommon. There's room for people like Derek. I've no doubt he'd make a fabulous councillor. So, he has to go before the people and put his name on the ballot paper, and I certainly wish him every success if he does that. But the councillor is a full-time job. Takes a lot of time and effort and huge amount of work. And nowadays with the data protection, you have to have permission from the person you're representing in writing. So it means that there's more paperwork for the councillors. But I think, to answer your question, Derek is living in the Monkland area there, and there's a huge population of people there. It's a town in its own right. There's over 5,000 people, and I think it's a great opportunity for Derek to put his name in front of the people and contest the next local election. And if he does that, I wish him well.
Yeah, no, I think he's a very good spokesperson. He's young and, as you said, vibrant, and he's strong, and he's got a passion and a love for Ireland, unlike the rest in the Dáil, which is a shame that we don't have someone like that. He's like a young Michael Collins, and I do think, hopefully he'll do well, and people will see that, not just for Roscommon, but for the country. We need somebody who actually has Irish interests at first, at hand. Yeah. Because, as I said, the Irish have nowhere else to go. There's nobody going to come and save us. Anyway, thank you very much for this today.
All right.
And I will talk to you again, Tony, at some stage.
All right. God bless, and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Tony. Thank you very much.
All the listeners there. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, on the Banríon Show. Thank you, Tony Ward.
Thank you.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.